we go across the finish line and we are underway.
The outside hit
Oh!
of Martin.
Taban's gonna pull ahead. Where's that from Massa? He's been squeezed there in the mid-pack.
Still going side by side as Manu gives him a little bit of a squeeze, a little bit of contact there. The pressure from
it's
both
gonna be three more.
coming down towards turn one.
Minute Blackers, there's no way to pass this man.
Oh no!
Oh,
Cocky's
no.
gone and lost the rear end of the car.
Hello and welcome to a new league racing season. It is Project Cars, it is Apex Online Racing, it is Season 5 of the AOR PC GT3 Elite League. And running slightly late as per usual, but ready to go. We are currently in qualifying for the first round out of 12 this season, slightly extended calendar, 12 rounds instead of the 10 that we've been used to, and the first round is, as you can see on the screen, at Catalunya in Spain. And as usual, as we go now to the well, not quite the track, but the timing screen, I will introduce my co-commentator, just like last season. It is Yorkie.
Hello guys, welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to be back. Very, very excited, very, very pumped for this season. Hopefully the guys will provide us with some great racing action, and as always, Fizzy, it's an absolute pleasure to be back with you, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's looking like it's going to be another great season because we've got so many strong drivers on display, just switching through everyone who's out on track at the moment. So before we take a look at the overview of all the drivers and teams for this season, which I had intended to do before qualifying started, but unfortunately due to some unforeseen circumstances couldn't quite get it going in time, but we can see that times are coming in this qualifying session already. 23 out of 28 drivers have set time, actually out of 26 drivers, because 2 drivers are missing unfortunately from this first race. But so I'm struggling to get back to Kaki, which we'll be watching a little bit. But yeah, 28 drivers, great increase from last season as well, when we had 24 drivers maximum. So the competition is even bigger as a result of that. But I'm just going to cut out a tiny bit of the practice sessions to show a quick overview of all the 28 drivers. And if those of you who followed the league last season will recognize a lot of these names. All of the top 22 on this list are drivers who did 1 or more races in last season's championship, season 4. But there is a big omission. I guess you can see there is no F1 Massa. The reigning 3-time champion decided to take a break for this season, meaning that it's up to everyone else to kind of take over his crown for season 5. A little bit of a shame that he will not be here, of course, but you know, a lot of strong racing still on the grid. Then you have 3 guys who got promoted from last season's Pro League, the second division on the PC side. That is Dangerous Gianetta, Hideaki, Raigora, or Raigor, I'm not quite sure how to say that. But then also 3 new drivers who showed a lot of promise in their pre-season time trial times. That is Kanuma, Freda, and Govand Kini. So Yorkie, there's a lot to talk about. But
Yep.
What are you most looking forward to in this season?
Just seeing some racing action again. I think probably the biggest change for a lot of the drivers is the introduction of 2 times tyre wear. Fairly controversial subject. It kind of split the drivers with divided opinions as to whether it'll be a good thing or a bad thing. But judging by some of the reports from last night in their social race, a number of the drivers kind of a little bit more open to the idea of 2 times tyre wear now, having actually run it in multiplayer and found that it actually wasn't as bad as they first thought. But it's going to throw up an awful lot of big questions in terms of strategy. How will the tyres hold up? How will the drivers be tackling the tyre wear issues? Will they basically run soft soft tyres for the entire race and basically do pit stops as and when they need to, or they try a medium or maybe even a hard tyre, try and go that further distance.
Yeah, that is questions that will have to be asked. As oh my word, that looked very like a near collision there.
I saw that as well. Yep.
Following Gronstra, who only made one appearance last season in the final round of the season, and is looking very strong so far in qualifying. But I think he was retiring back to the pits there and nearly got in the way of another car as he rolled back onto the race. Now luckily he managed to get it out of the way just in time. And then another new boy actually making his debut at the Catalunya, up in third position at the moment with over half of the qualifying session to go. 15 minutes of course in total for this qualifying session, and we have just under 7 minutes to go, and you can see how competitive the times are. Kaki have just improved. Last time I checked in on him he had a time of 1:42 flat. He's now improved to 1:41.8. So slight improvement there, kind of leading 3/10 over Gronstra, is now back out on the circuit. And Govan Keeney up in 5th at the moment, another new boy, and yeah, it really will just be very interesting to see how everyone gets on, because obviously, you know, a good mix of experienced drivers and drivers that are new to the league, drivers that last season drove in the 2nd division, and you know, obviously with a lot of drivers having changed cars as well. So really a lot of factors that could play into changing up the grid compared to what we've been used to from previous seasons.
Yeah, it seems like the field is relatively dominated by BMWs, either the Z4 or the M3. We've got a couple of McLarens. Kaki's taking a McLaren this season, which is, yeah, interesting choice, as he actually goes and spins off as he tries to put the power down, coming out of the tight left-hander at the beginning of Sector 3. Currently off my screen to the left somewhere along the line. He'll probably rejoin in just a moment. Just flicking through. We've got a couple of Aston Martins, a couple of Bentleys.
I've got a full list here.
Like last season.
There
is. Run the
not
list.
Quite as big of a variety in terms of cars as last season. I think at the highest we had 10 different cars on the grid in season 4. Unfortunately, slightly less variety, but we still have 8 cars I'm counting here. But as you mentioned, the BMW Z4 is definitely kind of the most popular choice in the selection for this season. 10 BMW Z4s in total, and then we have 5 rough RGT8s. That's the second most popular choice. Then the McLaren 12C, represented by 4 drivers. BMW M3 with 2 drivers. Bentley Continental with 2 drivers. The new DLC car, actually, the Mercedes AMG GT3 car, represented by 2 drivers, Centro and Silver Arrow. And then the Aston Martin V12, also with 2 drivers, and only 1 little driver in the Ginetta again.
Yes, dangerous Ginetta. He likes that car an awful lot.
Dangerous Ginetta.
That's an awful honouring.
The season 4 Pro League champion, worth pointing out as well. But currently not finding his way quite as he wants in this qualifying session down in 21st at the moment.
Having a quick look through, and it's actually really interesting seeing some of the really big names in various different positions. I was going to point out Papan, who earlier on was around about 8th or 9th, but he's now actually got himself up into 3rd position, so he's managed to get himself a decent lap in somewhere along the line. Mini Black is another previous name that we know quite well, up in 5th. Maisie in 9th, Martin van der Benth 10th, Brownski 11th, Dinda, who was quite consistently up in the top 5 last season, is currently up and down in 12th. Rami Boo is in 13th. TonyR is, okay, he was in 14th, but he's now just popped himself up into 11th. And he's actually running the McLaren. He's running the McLaren as well, which is an interesting change from his usual Aston Martin. It's good to see him trying something else.
Yep. So I think once again having that bug where the camera on the start-finish straight, unfortunately, is quite messed up for me, so I'm going to have to use on boards whenever cars go through there. A little bit annoying, but I'm sure we can work through that one.
Getting exactly the same issue.
Alright. Well, let's just hopefully something that'll be sorted out for the next installment of this game, where I know they will be working a lot on the spectator mode and replay modes and stuff like that, which will be really awesome to see. But oh, Papans. Don't know if he was up in third before, because Kanuma was there last time I checked. Oh, and Kanuma down another position now to fifth as Ginger S moves himself up to fourth place. Ginger being Kaki's teammate once again, just like last season, but unlike last season when they were both in the Bentleys, they are now switched to the McLarens. And Kaki, of course, he finished. He's back in the garage actually, so he's not going to improve his time. He's happy with that 1:48.8 that he's got at the moment, 41.8 even. That he's got at the moment. He was last season's runner-up after passing Tony in the championship standings in the final round after Tony had an absolute nightmare, crashing out in the first corner in round 10 last season. But yeah, as always, interesting to see how they get on. But certainly two of the big favourites going into the season, with Kaki having the upper hand so far.
Yeah, be interesting to see how well he does this season without F1 Massa to keep him honest. But looking at this leaderboard at the moment, it looks like Gronstra is doing a pretty good job of keeping pretty close to Kaki at the moment. He's only just under 3/10 off his lap as we've got 1:30 left.
We've certainly seen a lot bigger gaps at the front in certain races.
Yes.
Previously.
Yeah, definitely. It's looking reasonably tight. In fact, the first, if I can get this lined up right, I believe the first 9-10 drivers, more than that. Okay, first 11-12 drivers are within a second of each other. I'm trying to look at the
12 drivers within a second.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the standings. It keeps scrolling down the list.
So yeah, it's looking very competitive actually. This must be one of the more competitive qualifyings we've seen, I think, actually. The top half of the field within a second at the moment. That is very nice to see indeed, as we got less than a second to go. Let's see, Kaki, as we mentioned, in the garage. Grunster though on a lap. Got Papand on a lap. Jinda in the garage. Kanuma on a lap. So a mix of cars on a lap and a mix of cars in the garage. So now it looks like Kanuma is coming towards the end of a lap right now, even though this camera is struggling to find him. There we go. Let's see if he can improve on his 1:42.4 at the moment. Only 20 seconds to go. So unless these drivers are right at the end of the lap right now, they're not going to have enough time to finish. But Kanuma is coming around the final corner to complete one final lap in this session. As the camera, there we go, it messes up. Go on board with, and he moves up to second place with his very last ditch effort there. Cross the line with 4 seconds to go P2. And here we go, a lot of drivers to go through. Kaki with pole position here ahead of Kanuma, the debutant. Gronstra, Papan, Dinda S, Mini Black, Govinkini, Klaasens, Vrygor, and Maisie in the top 10 as well. And I'm not going to say all the names because there's way too many to get through before the timing runs up. You can see it for yourself on the screen. So there we go. Really wish we could adjust the amount of time that the qualifying order shows up for, because really all I remember right now is about the top 3. And do let me know in the chat, guys, how my voice level is compared to Yorkie as well, because I did see that someone said it was a bit silent, but I've turned it up slightly, so hopefully it's a little better. But here we are on the grid, a lot of cars. Hopefully everyone remembers that they will not move. Looking good so far. So we will go up to the spectator box here. Let's find a car to follow. Kaki makes sense to start off with. Now we'll see all the cars on the grid. There we go. It showed Kaki's car is down in 6th at the moment, but now he's in lead. That was just a camera, dodgy camera, I think. But yeah, nice to see. Everything going to plan so far, Yorkie, in the manual rolling start process that you are the author of, I guess we can say.
Yeah, I wrote up the procedure for it and got a few of the guys who were very kind to let me borrow their time and create a instructional video for. And at the moment things are looking pretty good.
Yeah, at the moment it seems like everyone's watched the video at least, or well, hopefully read the whole instructions as well, even though that took quite a while. Yep. But I guess it's best to have everything covered just in case. So you can see the
it's interesting.
Yep.
I was going to say it's interesting to see people's approaches to tyre warming and brake warming as well. A few people doing a little bit of tyre warming Well, a few people not really doing much at the moment. Obviously, this will eat into their fuel loads and it will also eat into their tyre wear. So if you get a little bit too aggressive with the tyres, you can probably scrub that top surface layer off and eat into the tyres a little bit earlier than you would like to. But yeah, a lot of the guys giving each other plenty of room at the moment. Nice, smooth, steady train. And actually, this looks really, really cool. Seeing all the cars lined up like this. There's so many of them.
And here we go then. They're down to the hairpin here is where the formation point is. So they'll be starting now to form into 2x2 formation, as you can see, and they're doing it very nicely indeed at the moment. Pole position line has the inside for turn 1, so you can see Kaki lining up on the right hand side because it's a right-hander for turn 1 on this particular circuit. And all the odd starting positions will be following in on the right, all the even starting positions on the left. And then once they get to the acceleration point, which Yorkie mentioned earlier, on the start-finish straight, then Kaki can choose when he will put the foot down, and then everyone else will have to react to him going. And there'll be, P2 there going pretty wide, but he managed to get back in position. No problems at the moment. A few small gaps in the field here and there, but nothing major at the moment, so that's nice. And we will see just in just a moment Kaki putting his foot down as they come towards the start line now. Kaki leading the field for the first round of Season 5 here in the McLaren. The camera is struggling to follow him, even though he's not going very fast right now, but here we go. He has gone now, so all the cars blasting down towards turn 1. 26 cars. GT3 action underway here, and Kaki defending that inside line, already under pressure from is that Gronstra. Excuse as well, we get used to the new cars that everyone are using for this season, but a lot of close racing and no incidents so far, as at least the first half of the grid managed to get through nicely on the first couple of corners, Yoki.
Yeah, looked very, very good, very, very clean by a number of drivers so far, giving each other plenty of room. Kaki actually left it very, very late until the last possible moment before he put his foot down, obviously trying to duke some of the guys. And I've noticed already Dinda has slotted himself up into 4th position ahead of Papan. It looks like we've got a bit of a battle side by side here.
Great battle for second.
Second position, yeah, Gronstra trying to go around the outside of Kanuma, but that's not going to quite work as Kanuma holds onto the racing line through the turn. But it looks like Gronstra's got a pretty good run coming out the exit of those sequence of turns. They come into the long, fast right-hander at the top of the hill. May potentially have a pretty good run coming down into the next braking zone. Will he have a look to make the move down the inside? He has a little bit of a look, but Kanuma moves over in the braking zone to cover it off and holds on to the second position for now. Yeah, so it was the Kanuma actually in that yellow car that was challenging Kaki into turn 1. He obviously qualified second, and then Gronstra now having a great side-by-side battle, but Kanuma holding on in his debut to second place for now. So let's see, Ginger in 4th, as you mentioned, Papand in 5th, Govan Keeney, another debutant in 6th place, getting very close to Papan there by the looks of it in that rough out of the chicane, but no contact, but he will be very close behind the camera, not quite doing what I wanted to. Going down the straight, at least I can see some cars. He didn't quite focus on a pile of grass that he did previously. Govan Keeney getting so close to Papan, forcing him defensive maybe, but he's gone up the inside, a bit of a time bomb, but Papan just about managed to get it turned in front of him with no contact. Very good defensive driving indeed. As ahead now, I think Ginger is pressuring Gronstra, who has dropped off the back of Kanuma after that battle on the first lap. So Kanuma now trying his best to keep up with Kaki, which would be very impressive indeed. Kaki has been in this season for a long, in this league for a long time, shown some incredible performances, a multiple-time race winner, of course, as well. Whereas Kanuma on his debut race at the moment, Gronstra slightly wide on this corner as well, but Ginger not close enough to take advantage. So a lot of action, and I haven't seen a single incident yet, although there was BMW back there going very well. There was a Ramibo. I think he might have lost a position to Macy, who's up to 10th position, which I'm pretty sure is where Macy started, that BMW M3. So doing quite well so far in that M3, which didn't have the best of times last season. 3 other drivers at the back of the standings at the end were driving that M3, but Macy doing a good job so far. Yeah, it'll be really, really interesting so far. As you see, trying to pick up the battles throughout the field. A lot of these guys are very, very close at the moment. I think there may have been a tiny little bit of contact in and around the Maisie Ramibu sort of battle area. I heard a slight knock earlier on in the lap, but I can't see any visual damage at the moment. So I things look pretty good for them. A lot of the guys trying to navigate their way through the very, very tight chicane here at the end of the lap in Catalunya. There's a couple of guys there almost going a little bit side by side as they come through now. Who am I picking up? Freddie, I believe it was, who's now looking to the back of Andrex, who's just in front of him in the M3 as they come on the run down towards down towards turn 1. Z4 losing out a little bit in the straight line as they come down into the braking zone now, getting hard on the brakes. One of the roofs there running a little bit deep into the first time. That's brought another roof up onto the back of him. I'm going to try and pick up, see who it is. So it's Tipple pressuring Rhaegar.
Yep.
And
just battle ahead,
Z4. Yep, just in the foreground there, diving down the inside in the braking zone. Actually, one of the Z4s has got pushed out wide. I believe that may have been Mini Black. He's gone and lost a couple of positions and slipped down into 9th place. He's now got Maisie just behind him. Raby's now just had a look down the inside of Maisie, and has managed to make the position stick. Another Z4 running wide there, and it looks like Maisie's actually going to try and come back at Ramibu as they come into the next corner, but not quite able to make the move at the moment as Ramibu holds it around the outside. Some really, really good, intense battling by these drivers so far.
Yeah, let's say it's not easy to pick which car to focus on as everyone is so close together here. But Ramibu is maybe having a go down towards the hairpin. Now look at all the cars coming out the hairpin at the same time. This is incredible how close this field is at the moment. There was a rough side by side with another rough back there. Let's try to find that. That was Tipple, was it? Potentially, as this camera is struggling so far. There's so much with picking up the car. We can just see the field in the background. No more side by sides now. Tipple staying in 13th.
Just behind Andrex is a nice big gaggle of the cars, really, really close together. In fact, so many of these guys are really, really close together. Like you said, it's so difficult to try and pick out who to actually follow. There's so much action going on, as it looks like Fred is having another pretty good run at Andrex. But once again, once they get onto this straight, Andrex seems to just be eking away, even though Fred has got the slipstream as they come on the run down towards turn 1 again. It's just a sea of red brake lights up ahead as they come into this first turn. There's a little bit of a battle there behind them between a couple of the McLarens. That looks like TonyR and also Jellyfish down there in 19th and 20th position. They seem way, way far back compared to where they were last season, Fizzy. Yeah,
and I'm just seeing a battle at the moment with Ramibu having passed Macy, because Macy dropped down to 11th, whereas he was running 10th position before. I'm just going to have a quick check on the scoreboard to check that Kaki is still leading. Actually, let's see what the gap is between Kaki and second place Kanuma. It's not too much, to be honest. Kanuma is doing a really good job there to keep up within a couple of seconds. At the moment, we know how fast Kaki is, so for a debutant in the league to be this close to him after, well, nearly 5 laps is not bad at all. And then Gronstra only a couple of seconds further back, and he's got Ginger very close behind him as well. Papand also keeping up well in 5th position. And then there's side by side between two BMWs, two teammates even. They're running the same livery, so they must be teammates. That's Brownski potentially being passed there by Mini Black for 7th position. Yeah, and they've gone as teammates this season. I kind of forgot or didn't have time to show all the teams for this season, but obviously the people who are running the same or similar liveries in the same car are teammates. So actually the Wheelie Bad team running that BMW Z4 livery are currently occupying all the positions from P6 to P8 right now, with Govin Keeney also joining those two in that team.
Yeah, as currently watching on board with Brownski at the moment, who is being tipped as one of the drivers who's very, very good on their tyres, is able to manage the tyre wear. It'll be interesting to see just how good he is with these 2 times conditions. He was one of the drivers who wasn't really too bothered about switching to the 2 times tyre wear, as he felt, like I was saying, pretty strong in terms of managing that tyre wear. Now, it looks like there's starting to be a little bit more of a field spread now between a number of the drivers. Currently just picking up Rhaegar, who's pretty close to the back of Tipple, and he's just gone and held up. Ycoms in the Bentley, who's having a little bit of a look down the inside. I believe that's Andrex trying to go around the outside of him in the left-handed hairpin. Both of them side by side. Ycoms giving him plenty of room on the exit there, as Andrex is still being forced to the outside, but he's got the rough right in front of him of Rhaegar, but he's hanging it around there. He's managed to make the move stick. Absolutely fantastic stuff there by my ex-teammate, as he slots himself up into 15th position, and he's now got to try and hunt down the roof and also try and keep that Bentley behind him somehow.
Yeah, he's clearly showing his experience in the league. There is Andrex. He He knows to handle these kind of battles. He's done it for over a year in this league. He was one of the originals, I guess we can say, in the PC GT3 Elite League from all the way back in Season 1. And looking nice there. Just within the points, obviously the top 16 drivers in the race scored points. Obviously the further up you are, the more points you score. If you're outside the top 16, it's tough luck, unfortunately. But still, battles for pride going on back there, surely, as well. Camera picking up a lovely scoreboard with no information on it. But there we go, down towards turn 1. A number of the cars, Ramibo following 3 BMW Z4s at the moment, and he is even in the BMW Z4s. It's the lower end of the top 10 seems to be completely populated by the Z4s at this moment in time.
Yep, I was just watching a rather interesting battle. Dinda was a little bit slow, and I believe it was Fred in the Chrome Z4. He had a little bit of a look at Dinda in the chicane, and that just kind of held him up and broke his rhythm a little bit, as he's now actually going defensive to Hideki behind him. Hideki's gone a little bit deep there. Actually, Fred's gone a little bit deep as well. TonyR's trying to cash in on this battle as well and trying to pick up a position somewhere. But the two Z4s are directly in front of him, completely blocking the track, giving Tony nowhere to go at all. I imagine Tony's probably getting fairly frustrated down in 20th position. He's now got the inside as he comes down there. Will he be able to make the move stick? It looks like the Z4's got the slightly better traction coming out of the corner, but they're still side by side as they come into the long right-hander at the top of the hill. TonyR is surely going to have the better line here as they come now, picking up the slipstream, trying to pick it up and trying to get the move down the inside, but that was trying to pick up who it was exactly. It's not Jellyfish, it's not TonyR. It's not Fred, I believe it's Hideaki, yeah. It's basically just going defensive, and they're still going side by side. Cameras are all over the place. I now think that TonyR has managed to get the move done. Yes, he has. He's managed to start himself up into 18th place in and amongst all that commotion.
That's 18th place though for TonyR. I wonder if he's had some kind of issue. Obviously, he didn't have the best qualifying. Oh, there's a Z4 stationary there. That is Mini Black, and he was running inside the top 10 just a moment ago, so he's had some kind of either an incident or a mistake by himself there out of that chicane, which is obviously probably the most tricky corners on the track. And Andrik's now all over Rhaegar there for 13th place at the moment, and ahead of them we got Tipple all over Martin van der Bent as well. So nice little scrap going on there. I'm just going to jump further forward in the field just in case something is going on up there. So Bronski still holding on to 7th place, and then a couple of seconds ahead of him his new teammate Govan Keeney on his debut as well, following Papan quite well. I think he's closed in on him a little bit. There was a bigger gap between those two last time we looked at them, and then just ahead of them Ginger and nicely there as well, and Gronstra have pulled the gap to 4th place and beyond, but he's also struggling a little bit to keep up with Kanuma, who is again struggling a little bit to keep up with Kaki. So kind of the top 3 on pace. Let's check the lap times. Kaki 1/10 of a second faster than Kanuma on the previous lap. Gronstra a further 3/10 slower than Kanuma. So it's looking like on pace right now, unless something changes with the tire wear or you know, with lack of focus or whatever later in the race. It's looking like they will keep on as they are at the moment.
Yeah, we just had a look at the lap times as well, and Papan had a pretty slow lap compared to Govan Keeney on the previous lap. It was over a second and a half, so that would explain why the gap would have come down between those two drivers. Jumping back down along the start-finish straight to see if we could pick up anyone trying to make a move on anybody else. TonyR looking pretty close to the back of Fred, picking up the slipstream now as they come over the start-finish line to begin the next lap. TonyR looking to the inside of the Z4 as they come into the braking zone. Look like the Z4 is a little bit later on the brakes there, trying to hang around the outside and sliding a little bit. He's going to have to and he's got caught up on the curb. Oh, half spin, well held there. He's going to lose a number of positions because of it, but it could have been a lot worse. He could have spun off into the wall on the right-hand side, but this has actually gone and brought Hideki up onto the back of TonyR rather nicely, and Fred's actually gone and rejoined back in 20th position just behind Mini Black. Mini Black just about able to slot himself up through, and we've now got one of the new DLC cars there, the free DLC car of the Mercedes AMG GT behind. Yeah, it's good to see that that car is running. It's ran a little bit wide there as it came out the exit of the hairpin, but he's managed to keep it on the track. I think Fred may be starting to struggle with tyre wear a little bit. He seems to be a little bit more loose than the other drivers at the moment, running a little bit deep in more places and suffering from what looks to be both oversteer and also understeer. I'm wondering if he's struggling with the setup there. What are you seeing, Fizzy?
I'm just seeing a huge train down in the midfield. I'm going to try to find it. Here we go. Behind Tipple.
TonyR's gone and run wide at some point, one point or another. I think he may have got forced wide by another driver, and he's now actually going to spun into the gravel as well. He's dropped all the way down into 24th place, which really isn't good. We've got a Z4 driver here who's looking fairly slow just in front of him. It's Mini Black. I'm wondering if he
must have some more problems. He's dropping back now as well after his mistake or incident or whatever happened to him at the chicane before.
Yeah.
So, on board with Blue right now. He's following a long train down in 22nd though. It's behind one of his teammates there as well. Ooh, and he's having a go. That is AJ having a go at the Bentley of Nostra.
I don't think AJ was too impressed with that move. He just gave Dinder a fairly quick flash of the lights. It wasn't Dinder, sorry, was it? It was
Nostra.
Nostra.
The Wizard of Nos, as he's called on Steam.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think he was too impressed with his defensive driving. Nostra did kind of shot AJ a little bit. I mean, he's allowed to do it, but oh, AJ just making the move down the inside now, diving up the inside. He's managed to make it work as well. Very nice little dive bomb there by AJ. Obviously getting fairly impatient of being stuck behind the Bentley. I wonder if Blue Rat will be able to follow him through relatively soon. These three drivers looking pretty close and pretty even in terms of pace at the moment. Blue Rat very close to the back of the Bentley as they come over the top of the hill, down the next straight down into the next braking zone. I believe the Bentley will have slightly better legs than the rough wheel coming down that straight. It's actually AJ goes a little bit deep there. Bentley of Nostra getting very close to the back of that rear bumper, but still they avoid making contact for the moment.
So a bit further up the field there is still a huge train going on down to 15th place. Not quite sure who is leading that train. Let's see if we can get a better angle. Tipple was at the head of that train before. He's now pulled up off a little bit of a gap, so he's 12th place down to 15th, are very close together, and then Tipple is now pressuring the BMW Z4 of Larsen's. Oh, and there's a big crash behind. Big crash behind. Was that Andrex involved and some other cars? I definitely saw a M3 in there. Oh, and there's more.
A bit more as well.
Ycoms and the rough. That is Rhaegar on his first race in the Elite League. He did a few races in the Pro League last season, and Ycoms was very much slowing down there, I think.
Yeah, he got caught with the, I believe, a cut track penalty. I think it all stemmed from Martin van der Bent having a slight moment coming out of the exit of turn 1 and into the transition of turn 2. He just lost the car. Andrex obviously checked up and tried to stop and avoid making contact, but wasn't quite able to do it in time. I don't think he quite had the room to do it and hit the back of Martin. And then that kind of just checked up the guys behind him, and yeah, I believe...
and there's a battle for 4th position. Papan tried to go inside of the hairpin, but went completely wide off the track. Did not manage to get that move done. It looked pretty optimistic from when I jumped on board there. Only at the end of the straight is when I started watching it, but he looked to be relatively far back, and the car he was trying to pass as well was really trying to defend. That would have been Dinder in that McLaren, and then he's also lost position to Govankini, who's up to 5th now as a result of going wide there at the hairpin. So very opportunistic move from Papan, but it didn't pay off, unfortunately. But ahead of him though, we can see Dinder here. He's trying to hold off Govankini, who looked a lot closer at the start of the straight, but the Z4 not the best in a straight line as we know, and Govan has to stay behind for now. But yeah, definitely an interesting scrap here for 4th position right now.
Oh yeah, and Dinder was a little bit deep there in turn 1 coming into turn 2. That's brought the Z4 right back up onto the rear of the McLaren as well. Looks like he's getting a pretty good run, and a little bit of contact there between the two drivers, pushing Dinder out wide. I wonder if he's going to give back up the position. At the moment it looks like Dinder's going to try and hold it around the outside. If he can do that, he's going to have the inside for the next corner, but it's a long way out there, and Govankini has just kind of gone and pushed him out wide. Dinder though trying to come back up the inside, and Govankini shuts the door on him into the left-handed hairpin. This has brought Papan right up onto the back of this battle for 4th place. and I'm sure he's going to want to try and cash in on the action relatively soon. Binder is probably going to try and bide his time, potentially make a move into the next heavy braking zone at the start of Sector 3. This will be his best chance, but it doesn't look like he quite had the run coming out of the exit of the fast right-hander at the top of the hill, and Papan having a little bit of a look down the inside there. Binder going very, very defensive and covering off that inside line, making his intentions clear that he wants to try and hold on to that 5th place for the moment and wants to try and reclaim 4th position back off Govankini.
That offensive line he took into the hairpin there was pretty much what he did on the previous lap, but on that occasion Papan still managed to try and find a way through on the inside, which is why obviously he didn't quite make it, because he had to get it absolutely spot on if he was to make the move, considering how little room there was when Dinder had already defended. But this time Papan thought better of it though and stayed behind. So we will see how this battle develops. Obviously Papan might be slightly frustrated right now after having dropped that position, but Govankini, the main benefactor I guess of Dinder and Papan having this battle, he's moved up 2 positions now as Papan actually ran wide there slightly on turn 1 and lost a little bit of momentum on the 2 cars in front of him. So let's have another check on the gap out in front. So we still got Kaki in the lead of course, but we are getting into the stage of the race now where tyre wear will come into play.
Very deep. Oh, he's gone very deep into the corner at the beginning of Sector 2. He's actually gone and lost the position to Papan as well. He just about managed to keep it out of the gravel. I believe he may have gone into it just a very tiny bit, but he was able to quickly get the car back on track without going too deep. It just, I don't know, I'm guessing he braked a little bit late, but yeah, his car just came flying straight towards the camera and yeah, just ran out wide and has now lost position because of it.
Yeah. Let's try again to check on Kaki. Now you can see the 2nd place there and the 3rd place car as well of Gromstra, but here is Kaki going through the final sector of track, and he's definitely extended that gap down to Kanuma now. Kaki looking like a very strong first round of the season for him, and surprisingly the man to beat after Massa took this season off. And Kanuma though looking very solid on his debut as well as Gronstra in that BMW Z4, and Kine is starting to build a little bit of a gap on Papan and Dinder now. Because of those guys having made their mistakes. Ramibo and Maisie, Brownski and Klaassen's other guys are running in the top 10 at the moment, and another gap having formed behind them. So yeah, as I was going to say, we are getting into the stage of the race where, you know, tyre wear are really going to be starting to kick in at this point, isn't it? It's with that double tyre wear effect that compared to last season that these guys will have to deal with now. You know, when they're coming close to the halfway point of the race, they're already at the stage of tyre wear which I would have had at the end of the race last season. So where last season was a case of probably having to do one stop race and someone managing a 0 stop. This is maybe a case of either a 1 or 2 stopper now instead.
Yeah, it may even potentially be 3 stops if some people are very aggressive with their tyres. Currently just watching the battle between Maisie and Ramibu, which has kind of been happening from the very start of the race. They've been working their way up through the field whilst also battling each other, but Maisie is looking a little bit quicker than Ramibu at this stage, just from watching these 2 guys over the course of 3/4 of a lap. Obviously, the M3 will have the legs over the Z4 down the straight, providing that he's got the correct setup for it, and Ramibu running a little bit deep in a couple of the places. That's 2 corners in a row that he ran a little bit deep and a little bit wide on, so I'm wondering if he is starting to struggle with tyres a little bit.
Sure, really what is the main struggle for these guys? Obviously, you'd assume tyres at this stage of the race.
Oh, Z4 deep in the Brownski, running out wide just before the chicane, and that's brought Klaassen's right up onto the back of him. They're now right next to each other, underneath each other's rear wings. I can actually see well up in the distance Maisie and Ramibu moving over to the right hand side of the circuit. Ramibu obviously wanting to break the toe and Maisie wanting to keep it. Looked like Maisie was going a little bit deep there, off in the very distance. As we watch these 2 Z4s come into the first complex of corners, it doesn't look like Klaassen's going to quite be able to get the run at at Brownski for the moment, as I'm just jumping back to Rhaegar and Andrex, and also Martin van der Bent. I do believe Andrex has just slipped himself up into 12th position, sorry, ahead of Rhaegar. Martin van der Bent is just behind these guys, and now actually got a pretty good run as they come on down towards the beginning of sector 2 and into the next right-hander. He's got the inside line, but it doesn't quite like doesn't quite look like he's got the racing room to throw the move down the inside at the moment. Andrex just in front of the guys, a tiny bit of contact there between Rhaegar and Martin van der Bent. Martin van der Bent obviously would have lost out a little bit of braking power in the dirty air of the roof right in front of him, running a little bit deep there, but they're still holding onto the positions from each other at the moment.
Yeah, and two guys quite close together behind there as well. Fred and a McLaren of Jellyfish just behind him, very close together. There's another McLaren of the same livery as Jellyfish having another battle down the field, and he's going down the inside on the hairpin now. Oh no, he's backed out of it. It looked like he had a good opportunity there. He was almost alongside. But yeah, I guess Fred must have just braked really, really late, and that has cost him, because now swooping around the outside is that McLaren of Jellyfish taking advantage. So it looked like Jellyfish actually backed out of it, but it was actually Fred braking too late into the hairpin, and as a result going wide and losing that position. So still battles going on up and down the field. But I have to say, we haven't seen any cars in the pits yet, so it looks like pretty much everyone is trying their best.
Just as you say that. Monsters in the pits.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say it's starting. I think it's starting to get to the point where people are trying to hold on to the tyres for as long as possible, and I think now is the time that we're going to start see people making the jumps into the pit stops, so picking on a fresh set of boots and seeing if they can gain a place or two. Yeah,
we only had 15 laps out of 35 though, so if Gronstra feels a need out of 15 laps to go into the pits, then he's going to have a harder time certainly on that second stint, unless he's gone on a harder compound, which a lot of drivers are saying isn't worth it, because the medium and the hard compounds are just too slow to be worth it. But I mean, surely if that could just save Gronstra from doing another stop, then maybe it could be, but I'm not sure. Or he'll just have to go another set of softs and hope that his time can stretch him 20 laps, even though he could only manage 15 on the first stint. Maybe the lower fuel amount in the tank, slightly less weight on the car, may help the tyre a little bit towards the end, but certainly that's looking like a tough task.
Who was that? It was Nostra. I just saw him lose the rear end a little bit as he was coming up towards the top of the hill. The fast right-hander, just as he was coming out of the sequence of turns just before that. Yeah, he lost the rear end, but he managed to keep it on the circuit, but he's gone and lost an awful lot of time because of that. And the rough right in front of him, Rhaegar as well, having a slight moment down in the very acute left-hander, very tight braking zone. I've seen a number of people starting to struggle there recently in the last couple of laps. We'll also point out, Fizzy, that the track rubbering in more as the race goes on will improve tyre life a little bit as well, but I think it's going to start to come to the point where we are going to see everyone starting to jump into the pits.
Yeah, we did see two cars going in there. But let's see at the front though, Kaki and Kanuma still going Keeney as well, up in third position now because of Gronstra having already pitted. And yeah, we just been reminded from the stream. First of all, I just want to apologise for the slight frame rate drops that is happening. I'm not quite sure what is causing that at the moment, so I don't think there's much I can do right now, but I'll try to figure that out for next week's stream, and hopefully it'll be less frame stutters on that one. But also something we didn't actually mention before, Yorkie. Obviously the race started with overcast weather, dry track. We actually got a random weather slot for the second half of the race.
Do we?
We do.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Maybe some of the drivers have forgotten as well, because I had literally not thought about that at all until Stevie reminded me in the stream just now. So that'll be interesting. I mean, I haven't really seen any change visually so far. It's still looking dry and it's still looking overcast, but it was a midpoint of the race now. If the random weather is gonna kick in and actually offer up a substantial change, then in a few laps time is when we'll be starting to see it.
Yep, indeed. As I see another person paying off there, like Rami Boot going in. Dinda Dinder's down in 7th. He must have had a pit stop on the previous lap, and I don't know. It's quite hard to tell. He did a 152 on the previous lap, but he may have had a spin somewhere along the line. Surely, if he's doing an actual pit stop, it'll be a lot longer than that. Well, actually, no. It depends on.
It's confusing. That's all we can really.
It is. I'm not
right
too
now,
sure,
though, Dinder's up in 5th right now. But yeah, I would have thought as well, like you, that if he actually had pitted, he would have lost more time.
Papin's just pitted.
Yeah, did see that. So yeah, Dinder just had a tipple now, and I assume he hasn't pitted either. Might have had a bent as well. Similar situation, no pit stops for him. Same, I would guess, with a Jellyfish. And then there's a huge gap behind him to TonyR, who surely also hasn't pitted yet because he was running down outside the points earlier in the race. Papando, who has pitted, is right at the back. Not at the back of Tony, actually. He's right in front of his teammate, the two roughs.
Yeah, they just swapped positions. I watched Papin come out of the pits and through the first couple of corners, and he immediately closed right up into the back of Rhaegar, and in turn 3, Rhaegar just pulled over to the left and let his teammate through. So very nice of him not to interfere with his race. Obviously on different strategies at the moment, and I'm sure Papin probably asked Rhaegar if he would be kind enough to let him through.
But
in order to not affect this race.
So Gronstra was running in 3rd, right? And he pitted on that 15, which we saw. He's down in 21st.
Really? Right. The race leader's in the pits. Karki's in the pits.
But Gronstra was running
Kanuma's
3rd.
in the pits as well.
He's down in 21st, so something must happen to him because Papan, who was also pitted and was behind him before, is still in the top 10, so definitely something's gone wrong somewhere.
Brodsky's taken the lead of the race. What is this?
Is he going to try to zero stop?
I highly doubt it. I don't
surely
think
it's not possible.
Will be able to do the zero stop. But,
even Brownsky can't do that. Surely.
Yes. For the moment, Brownsky does have the lead of the race from Karki, as Karki's just made his pit stop, so has Kanuma as well. And I'm now trying to pick people up. It seems like everybody's diving into the pits now. There's very few people who are actually running through on the track. Martin van der Bent was? He looked to be very, very slow, though, going down the start-finish line.
I don't think he's pitted, to be honest, because he definitely was lower than that, unless he's, I don't know, pitted early and had a jump on everyone. I don't know, to be honest. We'll have to see whether he goes into pits in the near future or not. But right now, though, he's ahead of Gavin Keeney. That's all we can really say. That is battle for position, 5th place as he stands in the race. And you can see might have been struggling so much more to get around that corner. So surely,
actually, no, okay, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe it was a little bit easy then. Yeah, you could just see the difference between a set of worn tyres and a brand new set of tyres. I'm not saying that Martin van der Bent wouldn't have been able to do it if they're in the same sort of position in terms of tyre life, but yeah, such is the difference between what is probably soft tyres on Go Van Keeney's car, which are obviously brand new, and then Martin van der Bent's, which are probably softs as well.
Yeah,
if they're pitting this early, maybe mediums. I'm not entirely sure. Mediums don't really go that much further than softs, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah. So
yes,
in which case I'm not very surprised why people say it's not worth it.
Yeah, but even still, it's the tyre wear difference at the moment, or tyre grip at the moment, is absolutely huge, and there's quite a few cars coming through the sequence of turns behind as well. Mason's in 9th, TonyR's in 10th at the moment, but he hasn't pitted. Yeah. No. It's not been a good race for Tony at the moment. You can just see how much he's struggling with.
Side by side through the chicane. That's never an easy task. And now, yeah, good for him to get some more grip in his new tyres.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a couple of other people in the pits pitting in front of him at the moment. So hopefully we'll be able to give you guys a more accurate position standings once this pit stop phase is over, and we can actually see who is where as a strategy start to play out.
Oh, unfortunately we missed that, but Karki's just passed Brownsky for the lead. Obviously Karki having pitted a few laps ago, Brownsky having not pitted, and really struggling on that exit curve of turn 9 there. Almost, it looked like he had to catch a slide to not lose the car into the wall. I mean, is Brownski trying to pull off some kind of miracle? Last season he was the master of making zero stoppers work, but I can just see it. I can see it. He's struggling so much. Kaki's already pulled out over 2 seconds on him in just 3 corners. Surely, Brownski, you gotta realize that it's not gonna work like this until the end.
No, so I imagine he's gonna dive into the pits.
He doesn't.
Not now.
He doesn't.
Very, very interesting. And I've just seen in the chat as well, Manu, who unfortunately isn't going to be racing in this round because he's having wheel issues. He is in the PC Elite League, and he will be racing in the future. Yeah, he's just had an issue with his wheel, and it's forced him to not be able to race. He's just said, Brownski on hard tyres, no stopper. He's calling it.
Wow.
He's calling it. It'll be interesting to see if that plays out the way many might think it will.
Yeah,
Looks
I mean,
to us that
let's
it
try
may
to
be
remember.
slightly
Do you remember what position Brownski was in like the first stint before everyone had started?
He's around about 6th, 7th, 8th, in and around that position.
Yeah, around 8th, I'd say. So let's see then. I mean, if he can avoid dropping back down as much as 8th now, by not pitting, then it'll have paid off, I guess. So, but surely that will be 15 extremely long laps ahead for Brownski, to be honest. But so far though, he's running in 2nd, but you can see Kanuma closing in from behind, only a couple of seconds behind. And if he's going to close in on Brownski as quickly as Kaki pulled away from Brownski, it's only a matter of a few corners that he's going to be on him.
Yes. I'm just having a look now between the gap at Brownski, who's just going into the very tight left-hander at the start of Sector 3 and 8th position, who is coming into the medium speed left that leads very quickly into the right, and then they go up the hill and into the fast right-hander. I don't have the corner names or corner numbers off the top of my head. I believe it's around 7 or 8, somewhere like that. But yeah, that's the difference between the drivers. Brownski, again, is not going into the pits, going around for another lap, but he does have Kanuma right behind him and picking up the slipstream. Surely the power of the Aston Martin is just going to cruise past the Z4 as they come on the run down towards turn 1, and Kanuma, with the fresher set of tyres, will be able to hold onto the position pretty easily, breaking his usual point and just accelerate out of the corner.
Brownski spun it!
Spins. Oh dear, Brownski, mate, please go into the pits and get some fresh tyres on before you lose any more positions.
Oh, really?
Just got it done to Papan. Papan slipped himself up to 3rd position, but didn't this drop back? And so is
Papan, yeah. Govankini and Tinder have definitely lost out.
3rd.
So Papan has had a blistering pit stop
Tinder's
window.
10th.
And let's just scroll through.
Tinder's dropped well back. He's down in 10th position. As AJ goes and spins off into the wall at the exit of turn 1.
Oh dear.
He wants to try and rejoin the track, but he's got the track right there in front of him. He's just trying to find a space in and amongst all the cars. He's managed to finally rejoin the circuit now in front of the Bentley. Who is in that Bentley? Wizard of Nostra, who's got a Z4 for relatively close company behind him. I believe that's Gronstra there. Were you saying Gronstra was up in...
He was down in 21st.
What's the top of the...
But he was at the start of the race, yeah, for the first stint. He was up in 3rd for by himself for a long time.
Wow. I wonder what happened to him then. He must have made like 2 pit stops or something like that. Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of, unless he's had a major spin somewhere along the line.
I don't think
can't
he would
see
have
any
made
damage
2
on his car.
stops deliberately by this time in the race, to be honest.
Not deliberately, no. Yeah. Not unless the pit crew didn't actually put any fresh tyres on him and he needed to go around and actually pit again.
On that note,
so.
I'm hearing in the chat actually that has happened to TonyR. He's had the pit stop bug where the tyres haven't been changed, so he's been in the pits 3 times, I guess, trying to get a sort. I'm not sure if he has
He's retired from the race.
He's retired, okay. So
yeah.
that's a big shame for Tony. He already didn't have the best of races, really, but obviously big shame. When things like that happen, that forces people out of the race.
Brad is sat stationary in the pits at the moment. Wonder why. Oh, I've just seen a Z4 pop into the pit lane. Is that Brownski? Yes, it is. Brownski's finally in the pits and dropping well down the field. He's now down in 13th, make that 14th. Is he going to keep tumbling? Yep, Noz just going to go past. So's Gronstra, so's Ycoms. AJ's pitting now, so I don't think he's going to lose the position to AJ, but he may lose it to Martin van der Bent. In fact, he will do. He'll lose it to Rhaegar as well.
He'll drop out the points at this point.
He is out the points. Brownski's now down in 19th position.
That just shows how close the field is, though, to be honest. That Brownski can go from pretty much nearly on the podium to down in 19th just by going through the pits once. That really shows that. Most of these drivers are clearly still on the lead lap and nowhere near being lapped, which is obviously good for the competitiveness of the race. But let's see here, though. Two cars close together. Gronstra having passed Wizard of Noz there for 14th place, just trying to work himself back up the field after whatever struggles he had been having earlier on. So unfortunately, it's a similar story for him that he had in that only race he did last season, the final race of the season at Road America, where he also qualified very high up. Although he had his problem earlier on, I think it was on lap 1, something happened and he had to pit early and have an eternal comeback driver until the end of the race. But we'll just have to keep an eye on him and see how far up he can get in the end. Certainly has the pace around here, as he showed in qualifying.
Indeed. I've actually just looked at the lap count. See, there's only 12 laps remaining. And Brownski, Brownski's on a much fresher set of tyres than quite a few of the drivers in front of him. So it'll be interesting to see how far he can actually work his way back up through the field. There goes the camera again, as I'm currently watching Nozdra trying to hunt down Gronstra, who's in front of him in the Z4. Gronstra trying to make his way back up through the field. I did see Fred in the pits earlier, and he seemed to be stationary for a very long time. The Lollipop Man had moved out the way. I'm wondering if he was stuck in the pits, which would be very unfortunate. Just looking at Mini Black.
No tires.
Yes. He will not be able to drive out. Jellyfish in 11th place, so he's moved up a few positions considering he was in and around 15th earlier on.
Yeah, I believe so. He was in that massive midfield scrap that was going on in the first 10 or so laps.
Indeed.
Unfortunately, I guess you can say the top 4 quite spread out at the moment. Let's have a look at the lap times. So Kaki on a 1:42.2 on the previous lap. Kanuma just crossing line and did a 1:42.5, so 0.3 slower. Running comfortably in second though. Papand doing a 1:43 flat, so further 0.5 slower than Kanuma. And then behind him going Kini, actually exactly matching Papand's time. So showing great pace down in 4th position, but not catching Papand based on that time anyway at the moment. Maisie 0.8 slower than those two though in 5th, but it's Maisie having dragged that BMW M3 all the way up to 5th position in the race.
Very nice.
Obviously taking advantage of some of the struggles from other cars, but great job for him.
I think we have a battle forming here, Fizzy, between Ramibu and Tipple for 7th position. Tipple was fairly close to Ramibu and was closing down towards turn 3 in the slipstream, but wasn't quite close enough to make a move down the inside. Looked like Ramibu had a slightly better run there through turn 3. Sorry, turn 1 is the corner that I wanted to refer to, that is potentially going to make a move into. Turn 3 was the corner that they were currently going through at the time that I was talking. So, yeah, I think this is going to be the next battle that is probably going to evolve over the next couple of laps.
Yep, because Tipple, based on the previous lap time, on the previous lap he gained 0.2 of a second, so if he keeps that up it'll be not a matter of a long time before we can potentially start attacking Ramibu. But obviously once you get up to the back of the car it's always a tiny bit more difficult to kind of focus purely on the racing line there. Always Ramibu go wide. There we go.
Yes.
It was not hard at all. Oh, they're going to be close though on the next corner. Tipple just not getting moved on. It looked like Ramibu, despite running wide, got a much better exit actually, and almost got the cutback, but didn't make it.
Yeah, you would have. You would have just straight lined it out and basically just floored the accelerator, whereas Tipple would have still been navigating the corner and cautiously getting on the throttle in order to not spin up the rear wheels. So, yeah, I think Ramibu, being a very gentleman driver, having raced with him in a couple of races previously in other communities such as RSR and also TGC, I believe, for a little bit. doing the very gentlemanly thing and letting Tipple go for the moment. I'm sure Ramibu will try and push and attack and see if he can hold on to the back of Tipple and see if he can make the move back past again, as I saw exactly the same thing as you did,
Another battle.
Yep, Dinder and Andrex, I believe. Yes, it is Andrex up in 9th place.
I have to say, very impressive by both of the BMW M3s at the moment. They have a... well, Macy actually qualified in 10th, but not quite sure where Andrex qualified. Definitely further down than Macy. But both of them having worked the race nicely and into the top 10 with both cars at the moment. And yeah.
It seems like we've got a few odd small battles going on in various places. A couple of drivers, Jellyfish, going defensive to Mini Black, who's just behind him as well. So I think we're going to need more eyes.
Yeah, unfortunately we're going to have to get a few spotters in here. If people on the stream, if you can shout out in the chat, if you can see on that position overlay on the left hand side, which I don't see him getting, unfortunately, which would have been much easier if I could actually see that live, but I have to look on the stream and see 20 seconds delayed, so if an overtake happens on that, I will see it too late. But you can shout out if someone's really close and look like making a pass based on the relative times, then do that. At the moment though, we can see Jellyfish holding on ahead of Mini Black at the moment in battle for 11th. One of the many 1v1 battles that is going on track right now. I'm just going to scroll quickly down the lower end. The points, Gronstro's moved himself up to 13th place. I think that's the result of Silver Arrow going to the pits earlier. And then Wizard of Nos. Ycoms, the two teammates there in the Bentley, running line astern, 14th, 15th, and then final point position at the moment occupied by Martin van der Bent. But Rhaegar surely in his first race in the Elite League will be motivated to try and close that gap and maybe challenge him for that 1 point. Brownski, who was briefly leading the race earlier before having stopped, he's down in 18th at the moment, and surely also fancying a taste of the points, but has some work to do to get there.
Yep, just as you were talking about Rhaegar, he ran a little bit wide coming out of the exit of the final corner, in fact, and yeah, dipped his wheels onto the gravel, which cost him a little bit of momentum. So that gap at the moment isn't closing to Martin van der Bent in front, but I did see further up ahead Ycoms, and it'll be Nostra, the two Bentley boys,
battling for
having a little bit of a battle. Yeah, this will be interesting.
Well, they were actually teammates last season, I believe. Yeah,
yes,
they were joined the Mercedes SLS last season.
Yep.
Now they're changed to the Bentley, and at the moment they've found it just equally good, I guess you can say, in this first race of the season. I mean, just as good as performance as each other right now. So it remains to be seen who will kind of come out on top in the teammate battle as the season progresses on that one.
And Ycoms had a very good.
Oh, look at this!
Good second to the half of the season. He goes and makes the lunge down the inside. He's managed to get the car stopped as well.
Wow!
Take the corner
from out of nowhere there.
And has popped himself up into 14th. He came from quite a long way back as well.
It really did. It really did.
Oh, perfect timing.
I think
Let's see if we could do that with the other battles as well.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool. I think he caused Nostra off guard there probably, because I'm not sure, unless they have some sort of communication to actually tell him to go up the inside there. I don't think you really expect that because it was that far back. But let's jump further up the field again. You can see Mini Black behind Jellyfish, still in a battle for 11th. So he'll just be waiting and hoping that Jellyfish puts his foot slightly bit wrong somewhere to give him an opportunity to slip the inside. At the moment, McLaren looking good on that one. So Ginger as well, still holding station behind Andrex. He's closed the gap again slightly after dropping back the last time we were watching them. But he's not looking all too comfortable right now in that McLaren. He was running further up the field, of course, earlier in the race. Had some kind of problem that we didn't see. And now trying to find his way back through the field, but not managing to find a way through Andrex at the moment. And I did see a battle back there. That is side by side between Andrex, Mini Black, and Jellyfish. And Jellyfish making, well, avoiding being passed actually, because he was already ahead. They were side by side, but he did manage to keep the position. He's going to have to go defensive into the hairpin as well, though. It's only 7 and a bit laps to go in the race, and a switch back from the BMW, who's going to go up the inside, forcing the McLaren wide there on the corner. But I think it's just about going to be able to get the throttle on to keep the position, and it does indeed. So yeah, finally the battles are starting to kick off, Yoki, and that is good to see.
Yep, and we're coming into the closing stages of the race as well. We've only got 7 laps left remaining. This is crunch time to see who is going to be holding on to the tyres, who did that tyre preservation earlier on in the stint to make sure that they've got enough tyre life for the remainder of the race. There goes my camera once again. Momentarily forgot about that as Mini Black is trying to pick up the slipstream of the McLaren of Jellyfish in front of him as they come on the run down towards turn 1. It looks like Mini Black does have the slight legs over the McLaren, braking a little bit later, trying to make the move down the inside into turn 1, running a little bit deep. Will he be able to hold on to the car? Just about, but he's going to get a cut track penalty for it, and that's gone and slowed him down and robbed us of another fantastic battle there. Very
fantastic battle by
yes.
running wide from Mini Black there. Unfortunately, yeah, that's as you mentioned, giving him a slowdown penalty and kind of at least paused that battle. It'll be tough for him, I think, because they were looking similar on pace, and he's only got 7 laps remaining in the race to try and claw that get back up now. Unless Jellyfish makes a mistake, that might be battle over for now. So let's jump back up to Ginger and Andrex, see how they're getting on in their battle. The other holding station. And Ramibo. Oh! Jesus! Tipple was standing sideways in the middle of the racing line at the hairpin. Luckily, Ramibo saw it in time and managed to go around him there. I skipped to Tipple and he was literally stationary on the apex, but wow, he's dropped back then. Has Tipple, he's made a mistake on his own into the hairpin and dropped position to Ramibo.
Ramibo and Tipple battle recommence. This is going to be interesting. I'm sure Tipple is going to be very, very eager to try and make that place back up. And once again, we're seeing Ramibo move over to the right-hand side to try and, well, make his stance known as to where he wants to defend coming into turn 1, as Tipple's now having to go around the outside, both breaking out pretty much the same time. Tipple was not going to try and hang it around the outside. Instead, he's going to try and take the apex. It looks like he's got a slightly better run as we now come up towards turn 3. If he can switch back here, he may be able to get the power down and have a pretty decent exit, but it looks like he wasn't quite able to do it. The front end of the car slipping away from him. Oh god, this is going to be an interesting close to the race, Fizzy.
Do apologise to everyone's heirs out there in the whole wide world watching this, who I killed with that little scream, but it was so surprising. I really didn't expect Tipple stationary on the racing line as I was skipping to him there. But the battle carries on between these two, and behind them as well. Andrex still holding on. Every time I look back, Jinda is really close behind, but just not managing to find anywhere to have a proper go. Let's see if he can get a good turn 9 to line himself up for the hairpin, but he's runs slightly more wide than Andrex. The BMW M3 is seemingly working well for Andrex so far in this race. Going slightly defensive there, Ginger breaking a lot later, run wide of the apex, so not going to make the work in the end. I think Andrex might have braked slightly early and Ginger slightly late on that one. But yeah, let's have a quick peek down to the front again. Kaki running at 42.2 in terms of lap time, still 3/10 ahead, just the last time we checked, of Kanuma on previous lap. And Papan still running in the 43 flat. Same with Gov and Kinney, unless these times just haven't updated for some reason.
You think that might be... That's their fastest lap
the fastest lap, okay. So yeah, they're not gone any faster than since the last time we checked. Mesa in 5th, still not really under pressure from Claessens, who we haven't really mentioned. He's obviously Gronström's teammate. Oh, and Tipple behind Ramibo. He spun off at turn 1 just as get back to the battle. He's made a mistake there, has Tipple again, and rejoined the track, put himself quite lonely on the track now, clearly starting to struggle with those tyres with only 5 laps remaining in the race. I'm going to skip forward to Ginger, who once again looked close to Andrex going through turns 1, 2 and 3, but before the next big braking zone has dropped back again.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I just had a look down at the bottom end of the grid as well. We've already got 20 drivers actually remaining, some retirees. Got Blue Rat, Fred, TonyR, Dangerous Janetta, and also Brownski has retired from the race. And looking at the chat, Brownski said that he had something with the tyres. So yeah, his pit box was previously occupied, and then when they actually came in and changed the tyres, the pressures defaulted to 2.50 bar. Not good.
That is obviously not ideal pressures.
Oh, Andrex going very, very defensive. into the hairpin. Dinda having a little bit of a look around the outside. He's not going to be able to get the switch back, maybe. Very, very close to making contact there between the two drivers. It looked like as they're coming out the exit of that and up towards the back end of the circuit into this very, very tight section. Close off lap 31. Yeah, lap 31. Yep. Sorry. It's my my leaderboard is scrolled down to the bottom, and it's difficult to get it to scroll back up and stay up there.
Yeah,
so
Karkis actually started lap 32 at this point.
Yes.
These guys have now just started 32 as well. So 4 laps remaining in this race, and even though Jinda is quite a distance behind, Andrix chose to go defensive there through turns 1, 2 and 3, and again at this point of the track Jinda is so close behind, but can he stay close through that really long turn 3? That is a killer for the tires. That is one of the reasons why this track is one of the worst for tire wear in the whole game, but he's managed to keep close to him, and Andrix forced defensive into turn 4 as well, managing to keep his line nice and tight, and Dinda not able to go around the outside there. Another long right-hander where it's hard to go around the stand. And again on the next corner, Andrix defensive, and he's had a little slide mid-corner there, but Dinda had to back out of it, I think, to not run into him, so that's worked out well for Andrix despite that tiny mistake, tiny slip of the tires. He's managed to keep ahead, and hopefully this battle will not be ruined by a mistake now and actually go until the end of the race.
That would be really good if it does. Hopefully these two guys can continue the great respect that they've shown each other so far, give each other racing room, yet battle hard, like I say, to the end of the races. Once again, Andrex showing that he wants to go defensive and hold on to that 8th place coming into the hairpin. Didn't get very close once again
break mid-corner there.
in that. And I'm sure that this is probably allowing Tipple to start to close up onto the back of these two drivers as well. This could potentially become a 3-way fight, especially in the last lap or so. Tipple's still quite far back at the moment, but
I'm just going to check something
the
here.
guys do go...
Oh, potential podium battle here. Govan Keeney has caught up to Papand in the battle for 3rd position. And I can't quite remember where they pitted. Obviously, they both made one pit stop in this race. Don't know if one has more tyre wear than the other. But
Papan was almost 2 seconds slower.
Yeah, wow, he must be struggling a lot more. It's general, general...
It could be the roof. It could be the roof, as Tipple's in the roof as well, and we've seen him struggling. So possibly the Z4 showing its strength with the tyre wear.
Yeah,
coming into play here. Yes.
And that might give Govan Keeney the upper hand now in the battle, but he still has to make the overtake though. Papand just having to try and keep focused and try his best under difficult circumstances to keep the racing line. Is run wide at the hairpin. Can Govan Keeney force himself in? Oh, slight contact there I think, but it's definitely not made it work. I think there was tiny bang on the back of Papand's car, and still though he gets so much better traction down into the final section of the track here. Look how close he is to the gearbox there. Papand has to do a lot of work. He's got to keep that position until the end of the race. 2 laps to go after this, I believe, and Govan Keeney all over the back of Papand for 3rd position. Z4 not known for its strong straight line speed, but is in the slipstream, and can he make this move stick, Yoki?
I am not entirely sure. It looks like Papan is just about managing to hold and eke out a little bit, but as we come towards the end of the straight, the Z4 started to close up. Surely if the Z4's got slightly better tyre grip, they'll be able to break a little bit later into these first couple of turns, but for the moment it's going to slot back in behind Papand. Papand, very experienced driver, racing in both this league and also PRL, is going to be very defensive, and he wants to try and hold on to this podium position in this opening round. Squeezing Govan Keeney out wide as Papand actually goes deep himself, dips a wheel onto the grass and has gone and lost 3rd position. Govan Keeney managing to keep the car on the track, and seeing Papand in front of him took almost the racing line. It was a little bit shy of it, but he slotted himself up into 3rd place, taking away that final podium position from Papan. But Papan is looking very aggressive and will want to try and take that position back.
That must be a little bit frustrating for Papan, having gained so much time through the pit stop phase for some mysterious reason. Really nailed the pit stop and was running... Oh, what's going on?
Okay, Andrex and Dinda and also Tipple, like I predicted, it's closed up to a three-way fight, and we may also potentially have Jellyfish closing up onto the back of this as well, making it a four-way fight on this last lap. Tipple very, very close to the back of Dinda. I thought I'd just jump back just to see how this battle was developing, and like I predicted, the battling between Dinda and Andrex, who haven't swapped positions as of yet, has allowed Tipple and the Roofs to close up onto the back and potentially fight for 8th place. And it's going to be interesting here. Andrex is going to be very, very defensive into this hairpin, I am sure. Dinda, once again, looking to the outside. He probably won't be able to hang it around the outside there, especially as Tipple is having a little bit of a look there. Dinda trying to go for the switchback on Andrex. But Andrex closing the door on him and making it very, very tight in that little left-handed kink, forcing Dinda to back out the move. Surely, if these guys just follow each other through here for the moment as they're about to start the final lap. They come through the sequence now, and it is now actually a four-way fight. Jellyfish is closed up onto the back of Tipple, so this is going to be very, very interesting, Busy.
Yeah, it really is for the final lap of the race. I'm just going to quickly check where Kak is, and he's coming around the final sector, so we need to keep an eye on him. But Dinda is closing slightly, maybe, in the slipstream behind Andrex, but not close enough. Andrex is forced defensive though. Dinda so much later on the brakes, and can he keep it on the track and not get the cut track penalty? I'm not quite sure. He definitely had to stay behind Andrex there, and he keeps going, so luckily for him, no cut track penalty, but he's all over. He's been pressured so much there by Tipple and Jellyfish as well. Let's see if the camera can pick them up. I think Kaki is about to win the race, but this is such a close battle now. Let's see if they can all get through the corner here. Oh, it's going to be so close. Dinda is running wide on the curb. Oh, just about managed to save the slide there. And Jellyfish wide behind him as well. And Tipple with a cutback. Wow. Man, what a move by Tipple there to get 10th position in the race. And oh, Dinda's going to lose out to the McLaren as well. And the McLaren's going to take 2 in 1 there. Jellyfish up the inside of both of them through this very fast chicane here. And he's up into 10th position. That is unbelievable scenes here on the final lap. We will catch up with the podium finishers in just a moment. But we need to keep an eye on this battle until at the end of the race. It says Tipple is in 13th. I'm pretty sure he is currently in 10th or so, as he is trying to hold on from Dinda. And Jellyfish run wide. Yoki, I mean, you take us through the final sector. This is absolute incredible scenes.
This is a crazy, crazy racing. All these guys constantly swapping positions. Currently, Tipple and Jellyfish going side by side as they now come into the final sequence of corners. It looks like Tipple's just about managed to eke himself up ahead as they come into the chicane. Dinda really wanting to cash in on this fight and try and gain the 2 positions that he has just lost. Obviously, Jellyfish eager to try and get back past Tipple, but I don't think he's quite going to be able to do it. Andrex holding on to his 8th place, I believe it was, beforehand. Jellyfish coming in 10th, Tipple in 9th, oh my god. And then
Dinda
behind that.
As
what
well. Let's see.
Incredible racing that was in the closing stages. So I guess we should probably go and actually look at the at the results.
Let's see. So Kaki here, it's on his in lap now. He won the race. We're not quite getting the gap times at the moment, but we know he was dominant from start to finish. In the first few laps, it looked like Kanuma was maybe having a chance to keep up with him, but in the end, Kaki showed his consistency and pace and experience in the league to run away with the win. And Kanuma, though, in his debut, a super impressive 2nd place for him in that Aston Martin. Nice yellow livery, running in front of the Mercedes there on the in lap, and Govan Keeney as well, also on his debut in this league on the podium after passing Papant only a few laps from the end. You can see the rest of the scoreboard here. Maisley in 5th position, Ramibo in 6th as well in his return after missing out on last season, I believe. Claessen's in his 2nd race ever in the league in 7th place. Andrex holding on from all of those cars to get 8th place in the end, ahead of Tipple and Dinda and Jellyfish. Van der Bent, Ycoms, Mini Black, the Wizard of Nos and Rygor rounding out the top 10, and then you can see the guys who unfortunately had the race ended quite early. 16. Yeah, top 16, my bad. That is the point scorers. And then the unlucky few: Gronstra, Silvero, Centro, AJ, Brownski, Unetto, TonyR and Fred, and Bully Rats. Quite a few cars who didn't quite have it their own way, but many more chances this season. 11 rounds to go. It's only been the first race of the season here. But now, Yoki,
a new feature for this
Something new.
season.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing some driver interviews, hopefully. Hopefully people haven't all left the TeamSpeak already. So, who do you feel like we should interview? I mean, it would make sense, I guess, to have a little chat with the race winner, I guess, on the first race of the season.
Khaki. I was going to suggest Khaki. Probably Tipple. That'd be very good and interesting to hear his words on that battle there towards the end. And then I think we should pick up one of the debutants.
Yeah, if they
possibly
are in the TeamSpeak, of course.
Yes.
See. There we go. The game has just sent us out to...
Back to the lobby.
Back to the lobby. Khaki! The race winner!
Yes! Yeah.
Well done, man.
Hey!
Congratulations, the
Thanks.
winner of round 1. How does it feel? How was that race for you?
Thanks, man. It feels good. Yeah. But a bit boring like yesterday's social race because, yeah, I got no rivals. Maybe that Kanuma guy, a new guy, I think, yes?
Yes.
Yep.
In the Aston, wow, I'm really impressed with his pace because he was really fast, either in quali and in the race. And keeping the Aston on the 38 laps is a really good job because everybody knows that Aston eats the tires like crazy. So great job for him.
Absolutely, and well, you've basically just given the review of Kanuma's race there, but for you obviously it was also an extremely impressive race.
My race was just a time trialing, pretty nice one. With I think I was consistent. My laps were pretty close each other, so I'm pretty happy today.
Any small moments at all?
Sorry,
Or was
what?
it just any small moments at all? Any little spins or slides, or was it
yeah,
just?
Yeah, at about 30 lap, I lost the control, so lost about 2 seconds or 3, but that's all, I think.
Okay.
Well, it's been a great start of the season for you, just what you wanted, I'm sure. So well done, and yeah.
Thanks.
Good luck for the rest of the
rest
season.
of the season, of course. Yeah.
See ya.
Yoki, your choice. Who do we get in next?
Let's get the debutant in next.
Kanuma, yeah, who had
Go for
such an impressive start to his campaign in this league. Hello, Mr. Kanuma.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
What a debut for you. I mean, impressive qualifying, impressive race, just showing that you got a lot of pace in this car. How do you feel right now?
I was a bit confused and was wondering myself that I ended up so far run, but I don't know. I started practice 3 hours ago and was hoping the Aston could work on this track, but sadly it didn't at all. The qualifying was great and I had a great feeling on the car for about 5 laps, but after that it was less of a racing, more like of a survive the lap.
Yeah, that's fair
Very
enough.
interesting. Similar to what Khaki said. Khaki said he was really impressed with your pace. Obviously, a debutant showing really good, strong pace in the Aston Martin, getting second in qualifying, and then also second in the race. Congratulations for that, by the way.
Thank you
Very
very much.
good start to the race. Hopefully, we can see you continue with that form in the rest of the season. Are there any particular tracks that you're looking forward to coming up?
Yeah, I'm definitely very excited for Spa because I love that track. It's one of my favorite ones. And also excited to drive in Monaco because that's some kind of a track which never been used in public lobbies or like that.
Yeah.
Yes,
we haven't
that
even
will be
announced the
interesting.
calendar yet, but yes, we are doing Monaco at some point this season. Actually, round 3, so it's only a couple of weeks away. But yeah, nice to hear that you're looking forward to that one, and yeah, just congratulations on a fantastic
Thank
debut.
you very much. I was really
you.
impressed by Khaki because his pace was so amazing, so consistency. Whoa! I couldn't keep up for the. I could keep up for the first 5 laps, but after that my times were dropping, and at the end of each stint I lost about 1 till 2 seconds per lap on him because my tires were so worn. Damn. But I'm looking forward for the next tracks. Maybe the tire wear will be reduced a bit.
Yeah.
Because Barcelona is very tire eating track, especially the front left tire.
Definitely.
Yep.
We'll
I
see
think
how that pans out.
maybe I will get 1 or 2 wins this season, but who knows? Each race is different.
It'll be great to see. it'll be really, really good to see if
Definitely.
you can pull off those wins. Hopefully
But-
some more podiums, definitely.
Yeah, and I want more fights, because this race was a bit boring for me. As Kaki was driving his pace, I was driving my pace, and no fights at all.
Yeah,
That's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. I want to fight this guy. I want to know, alright, I won this because I've earned it.
Yeah, well, that's the right attitude to have, at least. Obviously, sometimes you get kind of lap time battles, sometimes you get actual on-track battle. That's just part of racing. So hopefully, I would certainly not say no to an on-track battle with you and Kaki in the future. So
That's what I'm looking for.
well, again, congratulations on your performance.
Thank you very
today.
much.
And,
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Alright.
Stuff.
So, do we want to take a final interview before we end this stream?
Tipple, providing
Tipple.
his heart rate has come back down.
That'd be very interesting to hear. Mr. Tipple.
How's it going?
Hello. Very good. How are you feeling?
Quite happy with that. It's pretty
Yeah?
good.
Yeah? Have you calmed down, settled down a little bit after what was manic final few laps?
Yeah, it was messy. Everyone was sliding all over the place.
Yeah.
So they looked like it, yeah. That was an absolute battle you had at the end, and can't quite remember where you qualified.
17th.
Wow, so you actually had a very strong drive through the field as well then.
Yeah, it was
but
pretty decent.
How do
How
you
was the
feel?
rest of the race? Yeah, it's good.
Alright. Do you have any, I guess, aims for this season?
Just to have fun, really. Good races. That's what I'm here for.
Fair enough, fair enough. Alright, well, certainly a decent debut for you. Not quite the way we wanted in qualifying, but in the race, it was a definitely good job. And you guys gave us a lot of excitement there at the end, which, as a commentator and a viewer, I'm sure all the viewers really appreciated that as well. Of how
Yeah,
hard you
hopefully
guys
everyone
have
enjoyed it.
Yeah. Very, very interesting to watch.
I
Try to
definitely did.
commentate on without screaming the place down. Oh, thanks very much, mate. Congratulations on your position, and
Thank you.
hopefully we'll see you a little bit further up the field in the next couple of races with some better qualifying.
Yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed.
See you later.
See ya.
Guys.
First time ever getting some driver inputs there as well after the race. That's always nice. People kind of trying to play the Kimi Räikkönen card a little bit, I thought, but that's just how it goes.
Very, very calm and relaxed about it. Another race next week. Same again, 8 PM UK time.
Yeah, and as mentioned before, we increased the calendar size for this season to 12 rounds, and we do have a mid-season break week as well after round number 6. So the season as a whole is going to last 13 weeks with races every, well, apart from that break week, we have races and live streams every Wednesday at 8 PM UK time, or GMT +1 as it is at the moment. But for now, I think we will sign off. Thank you everyone who's been following the race. We will see you next time out at the same time, 8 PM UK time, for a Sekito GP round 2 of this season. Catch you then.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Cheers. Goodbye.